Well, you know, with the addition of our 10th coach, it allows me to do that, and I can kind of fill in where they need a little help. So if you take one of the linebackers does a different job than the other two, I can help there, or I can help at whatever position is needed. So I'm kind of, like you said, the roamer, but it allows me to have a better understanding of where our guys are, comfort level with things, different techniques, and I think hopefully, you know, it should have an effect on how you call it. Because if you know guys aren't real comfortable with the technique, you wait until they get comfortable.
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't do that before, but when you actually see it with your own eyes, sometimes it helps.
Does that mean you're floating around from day to day and working with different guys every day, Greg? Or how does
it's not floating. Kind of sounds like you just walk around. Like I detail the practice schedule. I'm going to help Coach, Davis during the first half of this period. And I'm going to go down to help Coach Taver Johnson. And then maybe go with Coach Grinch for something. And if Coach Johnson, I'll take the ends and do some stuff with them. So wherever needed, kind of is, I'm kind of like spare.
You like that, ability to move around?
I do. I like to be able to see everything. And the other thing that it allows me to do, there's always repercussions that you don't see. So I get to jump around from meeting room to meeting room. Maybe before we do all this, we meet for a good amount of time on every detail. So I'll get to jump around and I can grab kids individually that maybe need to equate the meeting room a little bit, where I can grab a guy who's a little behind and not burden the position coach with it. So there's a lot of positives to it, which I think there's a lot of good reasons to have a 10th assistant coach, safety being the first, but it kind of evens it. Usually there's 5 on offense and 4 on D, so now there's 5 and 5, and that's a good thing.
What have you seen that you like so far? 7 practices in.
I think our guys are playing hard and they're giving us everything they have. We're making a ton of mistakes, but I would expect us to make a ton of mistakes now. Especially in the springtime, there's guys that haven't played a lot, get a lot of reps. And then the other thing is you go a day, you're off a day. When you're in the season and you go day after day in training camp and then you get into routine, there's a lot going on for these kids outside of football. Academics and things, but there's no excuse. You have to keep demanding a certain level of execution, but more important than anything is they learn to play hard and they learn to play together. If we can come out of spring with that, we'll make sure it's all cleaned up when we get to camp.
Greg, how much of what you're doing now is, as you described, pre-planned, and how much of it is improv, if you will?
I'm not sure I understand.
You talk about being in certain meeting rooms, spending this amount of time with this coach and that coach. How much of that is pre-scripted? How much of that are you doing on the fly?
Almost all of it's pre-scripted, and maybe not with anybody but myself. But I say, I'm going to go sit in the linebacker room for 30 minutes. The hard thing is you have to discipline yourself. If you want to do this and this, once you're there, you don't want to leave, right? Because you're part of that meeting, so you just have to make sure, unless there's an extenuating circumstance. But I've done this before. It was a while ago. I did it as a head coach when I was involved in defense, so it's nothing new.
Because you can see so many more kids at practice than you ordinarily would, you don't have to sort of concentrate on one position, you concentrate on all of them. Do you think that will assist you when you get to season in calling a defense, because you know the strengths and the abilities of your team maybe a little bit more thoroughly than you would have before?
I think it can. I think our coaches did it because they're experienced coaches. The last 2 years, they communicated to me very well what they were comfortable with their players doing. But like I said a little earlier, is when you see it with your own eye and you kind of feel the mistake, you're human. It sits in here somewhere, and maybe it's not that you won't call, but maybe you'll make sure we get that corrected so you can call it if you really want to call it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is this the time in the place yet?
No, but we're getting closer.
Yeah. Taver Johnson, what have you seen out of him? Obviously, he's the new guy, along with Alex Grinch. Taver's kind of a retread, as I call him here, because he's back. But what have you seen about those two guys in particular that jumps out at you from a fitting in standpoint?
Oh, they're both excellent coaches. We're blessed to have them both here. They're both coordinated defenses. They both understand the big picture. They both understand their position. They're specialists at their position. We're really fortunate. I mean, you look at the staff is all defensive coordinators that sit in a room together.
Yeah.
So, Coach Meyer's done a great job of putting together what I think is an elite group of coaches. So it's going to help us.
Greg, what is it like to work for Urban Meyer from one day to the next. I mean, he's known for prodding not just players but coaches and stuff. I mean, what is it that stands out in that regard from your vantage point of now being here for a couple of years?
Well, it's the only thing I'm used to. That's the way I grew up in this business. That's the way I was as a head coach. I love being here. I love working for him because it's very, very clear what our expectations are, and he equips us to accomplish those expectations.
Yeah.
It's the thing where I've seen coaches fail is where you have these expectations, but you don't equip them with either the support people, the video to be able to teach from. Right? So it's not fair to have this expectation and demand, but not be able to give them the tools to do it.